Hey guys, this is John Pyzel, and this is the Objects of Obsession podcast. If you haven't guessed, my obsession is surfboards, and that's what we're going to be talking about on this podcast. My plan is to bring in different people from different parts of the industry, people that I know have deep knowledge and love of surfing and surfboards in general. So I'm going to get shapers, surfers, and like industry pioneers, people that have done something that is meaningful within surfing. Today, I started off with somebody that I'm really stoked to have here, and he's actually pretty hard to sit down in one place and talk to me. So I was stoked to get him in here. That is shaper Timmy Patterson. He's from San Clemente. He's an amazing guy. I know you've already heard of him, but his history is just deep in surfing and surfboard building. His father and uncles both built surfboards in the 1950s on through, and he started shaping in the 70s working at Hobie and ended up opening up his own company finally in 1980 in San Clemente, where he still is, and that is T. Patterson Surfboards. So Timmy has had like this long history. He's made surfboards for everybody you can imagine, and like guys like Matt Archibald, Jordy Smith, Adriano de Souza, Pat O'Connell, Italo Ferreira, Andy Irons. Like I could list a ton. Those are just some that pop to mind. One thing about Timmy that I really admire a lot is that he is not just a surfboard shaper, but he's a surfboard builder. So that guy can do anything with the surfboard, shape it, glass it, sand it, any part of the production. If he needs to jump in there and do something, he does it. He loves it. And so today, actually, when I did get him online here, he was just finished up glassing some boards for some of his team riders, just like in the morning. And then I got him to sit down for a little while in his factory and have a chat with me. So without any further ado, I bring you Timmy Patterson from San Clemente in his factory, which is a bit noisy, but it's not too bad. And I hope you guys really enjoy it, and I know I did. So jump in.
Boom, done it.
All right, and we're in. After we figured out how to get the microphones working.
Yes.
We're killing it. All right, I love this. So here we go. Timmy Patterson, good morning.
Good morning, Pyzel.
I was laughing because I'm like, I wonder if he's really going to call me this morning.
Yes, that was priority because I always bar you.
I'm like, oh, okay, I got lucky. I got Timmy on the phone. I'm stoked. So what? Let me just ask you this. I already know where you are, but what have you been doing so far this morning? So it is 11. It's 11 o'clock in California right now, right?
Yeah.
What's your morning been like?
Coffee, breakfast, lamb pour this morning for lowers, man.
Sick.
For a couple for Alan, then some other custom boards.
Epic.
What about I like to do right now, but I got to do what I got to do.
I know. So we were talking a little bit yesterday about it, and like the lowers contest is coming like next week or in like 10 days or something. It's like
something like that.
A couple weeks out.
Yeah, so that would be fucking great for here. It's just that you have, not 5 guys, that you have, what is it, 22 or plus, whatever.
Yeah.
And I don't know, it's always fun when all those contests are around and there's more pro surfers in town,
Yeah.
The Groms all they do is fucking copy the pros, and they're doing it like the next week. You're like, oh my God, that kid rips now. What did he do?
Yeah, that's funny. They get a chance to watch everybody in real life, right? And it's instead of the last 5 years, or has it been 5 years? I guess they've had the Trestles the finals at Trestles, and that's it. There hasn't been like a CT. There's only been like the one contest, and that thing is pretty exciting to watch, but it's super limited. You're not seeing like all your favorite surfers, or it's a little different vibe.
Yeah, you want to see a little mix up, it's like cool. Like I get to I get to watch Alan and Italo.
Yeah.
It's like, God, you just want to see him surf, multi-surfers, not the top 5 that you see him surf forever.
So what about let's just get to those guys' boards right now. Like what you said, you just lammed some for Alan this morning too, and you
Yeah,
got so Alan just made the cut, right? Like
yeah.
he just got through, or he did, or he made the cut, but then he didn't. Is he still in the event? He
No,
lost, right? So he lost, but he just it didn't matter because he made the cut, so he's stoked, right? Like
yeah. He's
that
super
was the
psyched.
big like prize in that contest for
Yeah,
him. And then so that means he's on next year for the whole year,
yeah,
right? So he's
yeah.
automatic. Like he gets through these contests, whether he gets into the top five in the end, it's
Yeah,
probably unlikely.
which is I don't know. I think it's a little more fair because these guys work so hard not to just be barred at the end. It's
Yeah.
like
Oh,
I want to see at least 20 guys do it. You
oh,
always
for
get a
sure.
wild card in there that just kind of blows everybody up.
Yeah, no, that's insane. Yeah, well, that I was just gonna say that's been Italo's been having a little wild card trouble in these was it the last three events in Australia where, or was
Yeah,
it how many he had two
I
wild
think it.
cards that he lost to
Yeah,
Jacob Wilcox
and Julian.
and Julian. Wow, Julian was wild too because like I was in Australia for just a little bit during that the Burley contest, the snapper contest turned Burley contest, which was
Yeah,
really sick. Actually, that they moved it to Burley was so cool. Um, but I saw like right when we were leaving, the day before we were leaving, I saw Julian there. I was walking by and I'm all, hey, good luck. And then I walked past him and I'm like, oh, I think he already lost out. Like in my head, he had already lost. I'm like, oh, that was lame. I was talking to Dally and she's like, I'm like, oh, I just told Julian good luck, but he's already out of the event. And then later that day, I'm like, oh, he's still in. And then he kind of killed it, which was pretty sick.
yeah. It's good to see that.
Yeah, pretty
Guys still
magical.
have it. Do it. What's that doing?
Yeah, I was. It was funny because I mean, to be honest, I was pretty doubtful about like what was going to happen there. I'm like Julian Wilson. I don't really follow his surfing that much. I know he rips, but like I don't like follow him and see what he's doing lately or whatever.
Yeah.
And seeing him come into that event and just kill it was pretty rad, actually.
Yeah, it's good to see that. You want to see some of those guys like Parkos and Mick Fanning's. He was sick. He's just like,
Yeah,
oh
that was
my god, these
insane.
guys, they just know how to do it. It's just what they do.
Yeah, the thing that was cool too about Julian was like he he hasn't lost anything really. Like he seems like he's surfing just as good as he ever was, and he's just like, and I think he's 36 or 37 or something, and it's like it's pretty rad to watch. And then
Yeah,
like
he looks older in his surfing, but then again,
yeah,
he's so polished.
yeah, and he interestingly somehow like I don't know why, but there's a little bit of a reminder of Al Cleland in his surfing. Maybe it's like their body type or something. I don't know.
Yeah,
But Al, we
plus
were
he's
talking about that yesterday. How Al's just such a
he's like
sick, like
180.
I love,
Stocky,
I
5'6",
love.
5'7".
Yeah, I love they call him the big dog. They're like the big dog, and then you meet him, and he's like my height, and I'm not a big guy, and like or he might even be smaller than me, and then I'm like the big dog, and then you watch him surf, you're like, oh yeah, that's where he's the big dog. He's like in the water, he's sick. He's got such a sick style.
Well,
As,
I like his power surfing. You get a
yeah,
little bit of God, you get a little bit of Poncho, and then it's got a little John flair too. You just kind of wow, he's
yeah,
right there. It's like okay, I want to see more of this guy.
I
It's
agree.
like a fresh attitude on tour. Like everybody's, as they're training, and he's having
He's
uh,
cracking a beer.
cracking a beer, and
As
having
the,
fun with the
as
boys.
the Aussies said, he's sinking tins. He's straight out of the water. He's sinking tins, mate.
Well,
Yeah,
just to see someone that really enjoy what they worked up to, you
yeah.
know,
No, it's
to
insane.
to
And
not even being able to like, okay, I'm off. Then John took the year off and he got on. He's just like, what? Who? Me?
yeah, that was really cool too. I remember like when I saw that happen, I'm like, oh, this is rad because I've known Al for a like since he's probably 15 or something.
Yeah,
And, and I made him some boards for over here years back too, and he's just such a cool kid. And
yeah,
so to see him he was always one of those kids when you make him a board, like he's super grateful, like he's super like he's stoked and he's like grateful. He's yeah, this is happening. Like this is cool, you know.
Yeah, it's kind of
It,
not as much like that anymore, but he brings it back. You're like, okay, that's kind of why we do it anyway, you know?
totally. It's like that fun
You want to see
energy.
that stoke, so it inspires you to just like put a little more effort in, you know?
Totally. Yeah. Like
As a
you don't.
skater, you just like want to see some stoke, you know? I get a lot of good response with guys, you know, like what they're riding next. What's that noise, dude?
That's you?
I don't
I
got
think
anything to
I
do.
was just gonna say, is that you?
Uh-uh.
Oh, is that? I think my wife turned on the hose. Hold on. Let's. We can cut this out later. I'll be right back. I thought that was your machine. I was gonna tell you.
Yeah, it was a
That was
machine.
that was it. Yeah. I didn't want to be a dick and be like, "Hey, dude, your your machine's ruining this thing."
Sorry, guys.
No, that's funny. Okay, cool. We solved it. I love that.
We got it.
I'm just like, what is that noise? I thought it was our hose. Our hose sometimes makes a weird little noise outside, but it was not. All right, we're back.
We're back.
We're talking about Al Cleland and his vibe, which we love.
Yeah, it's kind of old school, but it's present too.
Yeah.
Like in general, it seems like most people really dig what he's doing. You know, it's just what he does. You know, it's just
Yeah, no, it's
the way he
sick.
carries himself, charges.
And so I would say between like one of the things I loved about Al, I saw him at a not it wasn't it I don't know where it was. I think it was this year somewhere here, and or maybe it was in California, wherever it was. I saw him and I'm like, dude, he's got like three hoop earrings, like gold hoop earrings. And I'm all,
A little
dude,
whistle.
yeah, I'm like, dude, you got the sickest earrings. And he's just like, oh, yeah, yeah. Oh, I forgot about that. Like, he's just like, he's not, like, he's just had those forever or whatever. Like, it was just so classic. I'm like,
It's
this
just
kid
his
is like,
deal.
yeah, like, he's freaking like a little pirate. It's pretty sick. It was cracking me up.
Yeah,
But he
yeah.
got me so stoked with that. But so like, how is the difference between like him and Italo as far as like, personality wise, those guys are worlds apart. But like Italo's a freaking happy dude too.
He's a
But like,
happy guy. You know, he's so grateful. It's incredible. You know, like just his faith, what he's into, you know, he's just like, wow,
yeah,
humble guy, does a lot for his community. Like, and you just kind of go, wow, he's special too. You know, you got to understand that where he comes from. I mean, there's almost similarities, not really, but comes out of humble fishing village and kind of Alan is the same thing, but his dad was a charger, so
yeah, a different start, different roots, but kind of similar upbringings.
yeah, I mean, just the different countries, apart, but similarities of when they're so rich in just their cultures and what they do, you know, I think it's not about the money. It's about, wow, we're rich. We got waves to surf and
Yeah,
to
it's
eat. And it's like,
pretty
wow.
crazy. Both of them. The funny thing about Idlo too is like I think that guy is like he is just what you said. He's so humble. He's like a hard worker, humble guy. And then I think people see like this. I think they see his Instagram and stuff where he's like buff, oiled up buff guy or whatever, and then they think like that's him. And it's like if you know the guy, like that's not him at all. Like it really is like that's
It's
part of
it's
him,
it's
but it's
so
not like
opposite,
that's not his core. That's not his core at all by any means, right? He's like the most awesome, like warm, like real guy, which
Yeah,
is
I mean,
really
he's
cool.
so hardcore. You're just like,
Yeah,
how do you do that? How do you surf
he's
that long?
he's a frother, right? Like he's like the gnarly frother.
Yeah,
Um,
not allowed anywhere, and he's on 20 waves before you get one. You're like, wow, that's kind of gnarly, you know?
yeah, it's crazy. I think it's funny. The first time I ever met Italo was actually right here in my backyard, and I think I've told you this, but Jadson Andre brought him over, and he was like this little like pimply faced gromp. And like this little he couldn't I don't think he could speak English. Like Jadson used to I was making boards for Jadson at the time, and he'd come through my yard to go surf Rockies or whatever, and he just came over and he's like, oh, this is it. He was like 12 or something, like he was
Yeah,
probably 14, and he's all, you should make him some boards. And I'm just like, dude, I don't even, I can't even talk to this kid. Like, I don't know what do you want? You know, it was
It's
super classic.
cookie.
He literally, I think Jadson literally said like, this guy's gonna be like the world champ one day or something. Like, you know,
Yeah.
I'm all sure. All right, dude. Like, that's what everyone says. You know, it was pretty classic. But I was always super stoked to see that like his goals played out, and it was even better to see like it played out with somebody like you. That I'm like, oh, that's sick. Like, what
Yeah,
a
it's where did we meet? So I met him through Pinga,
yeah.
through like I was making boards for Adriano, so Pinga had me making some boards for I think Adriano.
Wasn't Adriano living at your house or something, or living? Wasn't he living in
Yeah,
San Clemente?
it was crazy because he would do workouts. I'm like, I'd sit on a balance ball and do squats, and I'd throw him a ball, and he would just do these gnarly things with a heavy ball. I'm like,
Wait, you're like
I tried
Adriano's
to do that.
trainer?
I couldn't even do it. I'm so gnarly. I'm like, no way. And then
That's
I met
classic.
Jadson, and he was that kid, that little guy, and
Yeah,
he couldn't speak any. I'm like, he goes, "Oh, this is Jaddy," and I'm like, "What's a Jaddy?" You know, it's just this little super dark, because he's probably surfed all day, and he was so good too.
yeah. He was insane. What? We got your noise back again, dude.
I don't know what that's from, but oh well, we'll deal with it.
All right, we can handle. Yeah,
Oh,
that's you.
where's
Oh,
this
there we
guy
go.
at?
There we go.
Had to move my
Um,
computer.
um,
But so yeah, so then it was cool, like seeing how Adriano do his deal, and I remember he just like one day I never knew about GPS and how to. I'm like, he comes home one day and it was kind of probably about 3 or 4 o'clock. I'm like, hey, where'd you surf? He goes, "Hello." I'm like, how did you find out that place? It was a South Swell, and he went up there
yeah,
and perfect.
yeah. That's crazy.
So I left at 3 in the morning and surfed all day, then came back. I'm like, what? I'm like, how'd you find it? GPS, and he shows me on his phone. I'm like, oh wow, I don't know.
That's
That was that long ago.
That's so
Dating
funny.
myself.
That blows my mind. Like that's I grew up surfing that all the time. Like that was like our go-to from Santa Barbara when it was too small for Santa Barbara, and
Yeah,
like such good waves. But that's funny that like someone like that would like that's like me
well,
being in Brazil and going and surfing somewhere that's just like so random and scoring good waves. Like
yeah. It's
that's
that random
crazy.
spot that gets really good
That's
on certain
yeah.
swells,
That's so
and
funny.
then he hit it up, and I'm like, I remember going there. My brother used to go there, in the '70s, and I'm like,
That's
wow,
so sick.
how did you get there? It was just so funny that he picked that place to
That's
go
classic.
surf there.
What about so Pinga's like the godfather of like all the Brazilian surfers, right? Like he's like the guy that brings you the
Yeah.
so Pinga introduced you to Italo
Yes.
through all that time?
Yeah. So it's just, his connection and what he's done for his community, because I think he's Oakley manager or whatever,
Yeah. Yeah, he
but
was
it was
Oakley
just,
then. Now he's just like I think he's just managing the guys individually on his own. He worked for Oakley before, so everybody on Oakley was like Pinga's guy.
yeah. So if you're going to have a representative, it might as well be someone that does it well, and he's always done it really well,
Yeah.
especially for the surfers, to get
Oh,
that much exposure and put them in the right spot at the right time.
that guy's really switched on. Like he's super smart and he's a really easy. He's super nice and like,
Super
but
nice.
he's like knows his shit, which is pretty cool. It's been crazy.
Yeah.
But so
But just
Italo
working
started
with
getting bored.
Italo, it's just, his board's changed so much throughout the years, from just different models, and then his newest board that he's riding now, all in, just little extra rocker nose and tail, little round tails. It's insane.
Yeah. What about here? Hold on one second. I got one more thing to look at here.
This guy.
Oh my god, this is like the worst place to do. My neighbor, my neighbor's fucking just brought over a. There's a truck about to chip some wood. All right, I gotta move locations, dude. I can't. I could let's pause this for 10 minutes.
All right, sounds good.
Okay, I'm gonna save this, and we'll start from here.
All
I'll
right,
be back.
sounds
I
good.
gotta move to a more quiet location. Okay, I'll
All
call you
right.
when I get there.
All right. Sounds
Okay,
good.
bye.
Bye. The
Um,
chipper.
all right, we're moved. Change of venue, still going. We were talking about Italo's boards, and yeah, Italo's boards. It's pretty fun watching that. It's been crazy watching how gnarly that guy. I mean, he's been gnarly forever, I guess, but it's been cool watching his progression and then
Well,
seeing him
yeah.
win a world
Well,
title.
once you got the tour kind of what you have to do on tour, it's he went out there first year and just like you're like, okay, he's not going to do it here, and he killed it. You're like everywhere you think he wouldn't, he did it. He crushed it.
Yeah,
We should progress. He didn't. you know.
yeah. Interesting. He's what do you think
It's
about do you know
riding all
Reynos?
epoxies too, so it's I could see some of the bigger ways where he has a little bit of bobble,
He's
but
riding epoxy. He's riding epoxies right now.
yeah,
Everything, all epoxy.
everything.
Wow, that's interesting. That's he might be the only guy on tour doing that really right now, I would think.
Yeah,
That's
I mean
wild.
that
What
he just gets it's the quickness rail to rail. I mean, he's going so fast. I can see why it worked for him.
is it are those boards the thing that comes to mind with me is like how are those boards staying together? Like what kind of glassing? Like how are you glassing those boards to make those things not just be gone?
I'm not sure exactly the construction, but I mean they're all four. They might be a unidirectional weave. I'm not sure. So we get
Yeah,
them done in Brazil. We can't even get
right.
that close right now, like to the quality that we want and the structure, the blanks that they have is super tiny beads. They like when you shape them, they look like a normal board.
What foam is that they're using?
I think that's Texel.
Yeah, nice,
That's
interesting.
something I know. Then they got so many different brands, but some of their EPS is
Gnarly, huh?
it's just so good. It's like
Yeah.
wow.
Well, we were talking too just the other day about how about we'll switch into this later, but I was thinking about Keone. You're like Keone in those boards. But what so how about I was just curious about do you know Reynos Hayes very well?
Yeah.
Yes, of course. And like
Oh,
I
yeah.
think
He used to actually he used to stay with me too.
did he? No way.
Probably uh, 30 years ago. I don't even know if I had kids yet.
Wow. That's wild. Back when Reynos had hair.
Yes.
Reynos is such a legend. Like I've known Reynos for a long time here on the North Shore too, and he is. I love like he's so knowledgeable. But I love the difference between him and Italo, right?
Oh, it's the
Like the
curl in
energy levels. The energy
the
levels are
curl
like
in the hair.
Italo's over here, and Reynos is like mellow cat and like very calm and like he's just like he's very even and I think that's probably such a good blend, like such a good combination to like have him kind of talking with Italo and working with him, and I can imagine those guys really kind of balance each other out a little bit.
Yeah,
And
like just getting on Italo on a like literally just an inch longer of a board. Just not that it slowed down, but you could see his board. Seeing what it's doing in the water a little bit more.
yeah,
He looks
it
so good on just a little bit of length. I mean, he's making him ride like
that's
he rode a 7.2. Like that's a huge board for
yeah.
anyone.
Reynos is old school. Like Reynos loves to ride a bigger board and rips on bigger. Like Reynos rips. That's one thing for sure, right?
Yeah. So,
And
well,
then
that's what's cool. He could ride any one of Italo's boards. So
right,
you
right, yeah,
guys, you're like, wow, they're the same build almost, and
yeah.
you know,
Yeah, Reynos is a little more cut than Idolo, I think. But
probably, I think so.
Reynos is fit. That guy.
Yeah,
He always had like back problems, and I'm like, dude, I think you're just too fit. Like you need to soften up a little bit. You won't get hurt as much.
I like me.
I'm like, you need a little more dad bod. I think he's now that he has a kid, he might have gotten a little better that way. But no, I think I just like the idea of those two working together. I think that's a really good match. And like Ramos is just he's just got such a good energy, like low key energy that's probably
Yeah.
perfect with those two. I can imagine it'd be real easy for both of them to
Well,
kind
he's
of
got a sense of calmness around him. You just kind of you can
totally,
relax.
totally.
You know,
And just
there are
so much
situations that
knowledge.
are so crazy in the pit there. They're just everybody's buzzing, and Reynos is just level.
Yeah, easy. And
I,
so focused. I saw him um at Burley last couple weeks ago, and it was during a heat. I think he's helping. It might have been Isabel. It was a woman, a girl's heat. I can't remember who it was. He was working with, but it was during her heat, and I went up. I'm, oh hey Reynos, what's up? You know, and he's just like, like don't talk to me. He didn't. He wasn't rude or anything, but he was just like, I could just tell. I'm like, oh yeah, yeah. I walked away, but like he's so focused and so dedicated. Like he's not gonna be like, oh yeah, what's up, bro? Like da 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 during a heat. You know, he's just like, I'm in here. I'm here for this.
yeah, I remember I went over to Hawaii. It was quite a while ago, and he was training Keanu.
Oh yeah,
He would have them go out at, and I think Carissa, in their in junior careers, and I just remember them. They're at Monster Mush, and he'd make them get a wave no matter what it was, and they'd have to paddle in, talk to him, and run around him,
do a
and I
full
couldn't
lap.
even talk to him. He's like my buddy. I'm like, because I've
Yeah,
been training. These guys. I got to focus on these guys, and it was kind of gnarly, like that dedicated.
yeah. He's rad
To
that way.
and I mean, these are junior kids, and they're doing laps around them. They're discussing it. What do you think you got? And
Yeah,
I'd do that at 6. They're like, no, you bobbled. No, that's like a 2, dude. And it was just, they'd send them back out and they'd get another
that's
one.
sick. And
I thought it was pretty rad, just his technique. It was simple, but they were, they had to paddle out, get away, come in, do a lap around him, and go back out.
that's epic. And he had at that same time, like that's like you were saying that like these guys are like juniors. It's in their junior part of their career, and like, but he still cares. It's like he's treating them the same as he's treating Italo today. You know, like
Yeah,
he's
he didn't
like,
change his program. It's just like, this
yeah,
is a formula that's been working. He's had so many people that he's worked with that he's found a little he's got a good path, good forward momentum of the results that he's came to
yeah,
through some of these guys'
pretty,
careers.
pretty cool. What about what's been going on with you down there? Like, so when I think of San Clemente, you're the first guy I think of, and like you're like the godfather of like performance surfboards in that town to me. And I know you probably argue there's a lot of other guys that probably I don't know about or you know whatever. But like for me, when I think of like when I drive through San Clemente, I always stop to see you because I love going into your shop. It's like it's so sick, like your factory. And then
Get in the
I always
candy
think,
store, you're just like,
yeah,
what's this? What's
yeah,
this?
well, and I love it. Like, yeah, you're all check out this tool. Look what I did to my shaping machine. Like, here's this vacuum or the, you know, like it's rad how I love how much you're it. That's your deal, you know. And I think of all the shapers I know, like that have achieved like the level like what where you are at. Anybody in that thing, like you are the most like hands on in the dust, in the resin, in everything, making your new tools. Like you've even I was thinking back to like one of the ways that I shape still today. One of the things I do as I finish a board is something like you showed me one day, where you were just sanding a bottom, and it was just like just doing this little double cross kind of thing where you're like, I don't just go straight here. I come in this way and then I come back that way, and it blends every you know whatever. And
Yeah,
it's
yeah,
like
I know what you mean.
I
It's
do
like
that to this
those
day.
little things that are just habit, and you just like what worked. A lot of it too. Some of the stuff that I do, it's how I draw from nose to tail to sideways, is a lot of from toe boards too. It's
Oh
like
yeah,
when I used to hand shape a lot of those,
right.
I wouldn't I put the rocker a little bit off the tail
Yeah.
and then come from the middle back.
Oh
Where
wow.
when I hand shape no
Yeah.
high performance, it's only from the tail forward.
Right. That's interesting. The
So I get a straighter rocker going that way.
right. That's funny. The
Weird theories.
you're also one of the few guys that still is pretty. Are you still consistently hand shaping like guns or different things, or what are you doing with that?
I
Like
try
when you
not
make,
to.
yeah.
No, I've been hand shaped in a little bit, but you know, like channel bottoms are always fun to do, but I haven't done too many lately, and I don't really.
Well, that
It's hard to get someone to glass them, so when we get them, I usually do them.
yeah.
and
That
put
makes me
stints on because
Yeah,
I just like,
they're nightmares. They're nightmares for everybody, right? Like
yeah,
no one except when it's done and you hand it to someone, that's the only guy that's really stoked on the channel
yeah,
bottom,
it's
right?
go, oh
Like
wow,
like you have to shape it. Like it's satisfying and beautiful, but like it's a lot of extra work. Then you hand it to the laminator or you laminate whatever, and then someone's putting fins, well, not really putting fins on them anymore. Like one of my first like one of my biggest jobs I had one summer in California when I was already living in Hawaii. I moved back to California for a summer to work, and Hamish gave me a job it up at Tom Nell Tom Everly's factory in San
yeah,
Diego. And Hamish was like, "Hey, just come over." I was glassing. I had barely shaped. I was starting to shape, but
that
I was
noise.
glassing. Huh?
I got
That,
that noise back.
that's you, dude.
Harold,
All right.
oh, it's off.
Oh, there it is. As soon as you talk about it, it stops.
I
Just
know.
every time you hear it, just go, "What's that noise?" Um. Anyways, I went over to work for Hamish for the summer, and because there was nothing to do over here in Hawaii in the summertime for me, and I all I did was glass on fins. I was a fin hot coater. All it was glass ons, and most of the boards were channel bottoms. And it was Brian Szymanski was laminating.
Oh yeah, yeah,
Everly's factory. Hamish was shaping in Everly's factory, and and I lived in the factory. Like there was a little apartment upstairs, and I had a 10-speed bike. Like I didn't even have like a car. I freaking came down there, and I would fin like Szymanski's was a gnarly laminator. He could like do a bottom in 3 minutes or something. He would time himself. He loved it, but
yeah,
he would do a batch of them, and I would prep 26 channel bottom fins, and then I'd prep them all one day, and then the next day I would do all the wet work, and it
yeah.
was so gnarly. It was like God. It was just like it was like my full like boot camp of surfboard building, you know. And Eberly was just like he's so good at everything. He was a lot like you. Like he I mean I don't know about his glassing abilities, but like he's a surfboard builder. He's not a shaper. You know, like he does it. And so it was like I learned so much that year, and I also just or that summer
Yeah,
and
I mean, I still do the glass-ons.
yeah, and
Like, I'm like,
I was just trippy. Like, imagine, like, I was literally doing 20 of those. So then the Sanders getting 20 glass on
channel
channel
bottom.
bottoms the next on Monday morning. That was his Monday morning. It was like, oh shit, you know.
Like, oh my
I
God.
actually that Sander actually ended up ODing in the parking lot in his car and is no longer with us. But
Oh wow.
that was a long time ago. But so when I think of channel bottoms and you and I think of Matt Archibald like
Yeah.
and that's where that leads like so let's talk like how you've had these like pretty epic team riders throughout your life and people that have but I would imagine Archie was pretty influential on like pushing you with stuff as far as surfboards
Yeah,
go
well, it's just a
or was it the
different
other way
board.
around?
Like, I mean, I remember seeing the first thruster. You're like, and that was probably like late 70s, early, you just saw one, you're just like, I want one of those. I want a board like that.
Right.
So you make your own fins because no one was really making fins, and you glass them on a board and go, wow, that's cool. Like my dad used to make skateboards in our garage out of plywood, like really good marine plywood, and I'd foiled fins.
Yeah,
I'm making
that's
a set of
epic.
fins for my board, and it was cool to just try something different. Like, oh wow, these thruster things work. So, and I was a full production hot coater too. That's what I did. I'm like clean up the shop and hand sand for my dad. He would do he was a production sander, so I'd hand sand for him. Rail sander, that was the
Yeah,
fun.
yeah.
You got promoted from cleaning up my room to hand sanding the
Yeah, you get
rail.
to take this shitty job next.
Yeah. So,
That's
and then
epic though.
so that was always cool. I worked at two different shops, this place Surf Glass and Hobies, and it was cool. I had a blast. Worked with so many just characters. I mean, our whole what we do is we work with characters. you
I feel
know.
like San Clemente, I feel like down there in that zone, there's so many, it's a real rich like culture of that board building culture. Like where I grew up in Santa Barbara, there's like, of course, there's like Al Merrick and Matt Moore who made my boards, and
Oh
these
yeah,
guys
yeah,
there and Hawkinson. There's one major glass shop, Hawkinson, that did all the Channel Islands, but
yeah.
there wasn't like a community in an area like you guys have. Like, hey, you're down in the freaking in the ghetto. Like you have the hood of surfboard building, and like Oceanside has something like that too. But
Yeah.
Santa Barbara never had that, so I never got to like growing up. I didn't get to get like immersed in like a bunch of people. There was a Dave Pooh had a glass shop too, and he was shaping like he was shaping boards for this little kid named Bobby Martinez.
Oh, yeah.
Might have heard of that kid. And like
Yeah.
when I was young, he would let me come in and like I could take my boards, my blanks I got from Matt Moore, and bring them to him to get glassed, and then he'd let me airbrush them. That was as far as I got at that point. When in factories was like, oh, we'll let you spray these boards. I'd go tape off shit and do some Tom Carroll spray, or something. And
Yeah.
but I never got to get like immersed in it the way you guys are, where I feel like San Clemente has just like everybody's building surfboards. Like
Well,
they're
I
even
think a lot of it started from, just Hobie surfboards in
in
Capital
Dana
Beach.
Point, or where's
There's
that?
at Capistrano Beach, right
Right.
Doheny, right behind
Yeah.
Dana Doheny State Beach. So, there was all those guys that made surfboards all work together, they knew each other. And a lot of especially that time, you figure early 60s or late 50s even, they're making, you know, boards, but they're also making boats because half of them were
Yeah.
fishermen. They're like, oh,
Well,
we'll
that
go over
that
to
paid
that.
off. That paid off a little better for Hobie making the boats, huh?
Yeah. Well, no, they're fishing boats that were
Oh,
running
no way.
in a Point Harbor. You're like, oh wow. So we grew up on a lot of fish because you get, oh, here's some
That's
for
how
the
you get
Patterson
your
family.
bonuses. Yeah.
Yeah, the
Thanks for
bonus it
the
lasts forever too. It's
yeah.
crazy.
That's
Still get fish.
yeah. No,
And
that's epic too. I
then
love that
Brad
here.
Basham he had his glass shop. That's what I'm in now. I've been there in this glass shop now for 30 years. I trip out
Wow, that's crazy.
in that little glass shop that I got. And
That's insane.
yeah, so he was kind of brought the alley down, or what people know as why people wait to hear. Just it's kind of where it started through his vision of making boards, glassing.
Yeah.
Like, hey, I remember bringing my first one to him and just like, yeah, like I'd do them myself and just screw them up or whatever I had to do at the time. Hey, buddy, there's Keone. Keone, come here.
Yeah. Johnny,
What's
I haven't
that?
seen that Grom for a while. That's
Yeah,
a
he's nice
man
and tall.
Grom. Keone, what's up?
Oh, hey, what's up?
Hi, how are you? All
Good.
right.
How's it going?
Good. Me and your dad are just getting super modern podcasting right now, dude.
Oh, no way. Yeah, after we
Yeah,
figured out how
stoked.
to do it.
Well, we were just talking about you yesterday a little bit, and he was just telling me how stoked he's been. He said you're killing it shaping.
Oh yeah, just trying to help out wherever I can, I
That's
think
so sick.
yeah, no, I don't know, it's really cool to I mean, I've had so many different back shapers and he's kind of the best one out of the whole batch, and it's not really a back shaper, he's my son. And
Yeah,
like I
that's
said, I've been in that my glass shop for 30 years, and the only reason I know that is when he was a baby, he'd have
his age.
we're just etching the fresh painted walls, and I dated it. Keone 95.
That's so sick. What about did you guys like how? That's insane. Like I have two daughters, Indy and Sienna, and like neither of them want to have anything to do with surfboards as far as like making them. And I'm like, I don't know. That's
Because
pretty
they
cool to
wash
have.
you froth too hard. It's like, dad.
Yeah, but I mean, how cool is that to have your dad like that must be sick having somebody as like awesome as your dad for as far as talent goes and like
Yeah,
here do
well,
this and then you to have a kid that you can like wow he's killing you're not just like yeah that's pretty good son like bullshitting him they're actually he's doing a great job that's insane like
yeah, it's pretty cool. We did a trip over to the Canaries, and it was cool. Like we had a good sized board. We were there for like 10 days, and we did 100 and something, and he did most of the work. I
Sick.
got to hang out with the customers finally. You know, when you want to sit down with people and I got to get these pies.
Totally.
So it's cool. You'll whack out, 10 or 12, and I'm like, cool, and check them out. I'm like, fuck, they're tight.
That's epic.
So
That's insane.
it was really cool to sit with clients finally and spend a little extra time.
That's never been your way. You're like, I got to get back in here and work. You want to come talk to me?
You're
Like, I'll be.
fucking guy.
I remember. I remember coming to a barbecue. You're all, yeah, we're having like a barbecue. We're having a party down at my factory. And like, I go down there, and you're like, you're in shaping a board. You're like, everybody's raging. Like, people are just in the parking lot drinking beers. There's like, I think there was a band playing. Someone's barbecue. Like, it was raging. And your dad's in there. He's like, I got to get this gun shaped for Gavin or something. Like, you're hand shaping a freaking 9.6 or something. They're like, no shirt on, just shorts, nothing, and just like everybody else is just hanging out drinking beers. You're like, yeah,
Yeah,
this is where I feel most comfortable. Like, I like it in here.
I like it in my dungeon.
Yeah, totally. But what, Keone? What about like how are you? Have you been stoked on shaping? Like, how's it like?
Yeah, super
As
stoked
far as that?
lately. It's cool like being able to see the progression too. Like, cause I was into shaping for a while. Like when I was like in my teens and stuff. Like I would come in and do like one maybe a board for myself or one for my friend or something. But like it took a pretty long time to get like serious and dialed in on it. And I've been pretty dialed in for maybe the last like 5, 6 or so years.
That's sick.
But I went and tried a bunch of other stuff. Just like normal jobs and stuff. I was just like, fuck, this is like
This
so lame. Like every
this
time,
sucks.
I would end up back in the shaping room and be like, oh, like, like I need to actually like commit to this kind of. And so
Well, it's like it's time to surf because it's pumping. You're out of
Yeah,
here,
it's
yeah,
a
and then
little
you're so
different.
stoked you can work better at
that
night.
too. Yeah.
You're not punching in. You're like, oh, it's 9:30. I gotta be at work by 10 and do this, right? Like you got your own
No.
schedule.
No,
You got
I kind of I have to I work off of him a lot. I'll come in and do as many as I can, and then maybe if there's like some that still need to be signed, I'll go and surf in the morning instead of come in and finish more for him to sign and put the fins on and stuff. So it's cool because I feel like we've lived together for so long, and so we have like a bit more of a dynamic than just like a normal guy that would come in and
for
clock in.
sure.
Like I've seen him shape for so many years that I kind of understand like his style, how he wants boards to be done. Like, and I think that's pretty big because he has, we have a really specific way of how we want our boards to be finished and presented.
Yeah, he says it better than
And
me.
so,
And then he's telling me he's like, I kind of like his rails better than mine now, or
yeah,
something.
Well, it's good. Now he's out to pick. He
He's all,
has.
check this out, Dad. You're all, whoa.
I do. I'm like, wow, how'd you get that like this? So some of them I'm like, I'd rather have him shape because he gets to the like my idea better than my idea.
That's insane. What about Keone? Do you think like when you're actually like the act of physically shaping, are you physically doing things the way your dad does it, or are you just approaching it a totally different way and your own deal, or do you kind of have a blend or
No, it's funny. He thinks different,
a little
but
bit different. Well,
I'll watch him and I'm like, oh my God. Like he's kind of all over the place. And I'm like, shit, kind of like me.
yeah, well, the finished product is pretty similar because I know exactly how he wants them to be finished. I know how he likes the noses and the tail and how he wants the rail, that transition from like the back, the
yeah,
back into the rail, like the bottom edge into the rail. And so I think the finish is pretty dang similar because I've watched him for so many years and I've seen so many of our boards, but the way I do it is a little bit more. I would say like method. Like I always start, on the deck at the nose, and then I start on the tail, and then I finish the deck, and I flip it. I have a
that's
process.
right.
I do every single board where he's a little bit different. Like he'll start on the tail, and then start on the rail, and then start on the deck, and then start on the bottom, and then finish the deck, and then finish the nose, and then
So
finish. Like
your dad, from what I've seen, like all the different times I've watched him and do stuff and like been
Every
involved
always
time
in
it's
it,
different.
different.
Yeah, it's always
you're
different.
you're evolving. You're like I think it's one of the
Yeah,
cool things. Like not only that, but like you'll have a new tool. You're like, no, I use this now. Like I just made
yeah.
this last week. I
Every
found
day
it.
that's a new
I
tool.
found this piece of something in the dumpster on this trip to the Canaries. I needed to make something to put in a channel or whatever. And like, he's like, this is my new tool.
Well, I
It's
think I
like,
think that's a big part of why some of our boards like look so good is because our tool like he loves working on new tools and he makes so many new ones that are for such specific jobs where you look at a lot of shapers tools and they're just, square block number 5 and 6, where we have so many tools that are smaller, bigger,
I'm
different
the I'm square block 5 and 6 guy. So don't
exactly.
talk any
Yeah.
shit.
So
Bro.
that's how a lot of shapers are and they make fine boards, but like we tune in our tools a lot to
Yeah.
where like this one's just for the bottom rail or this one is just for taking taking foam off of the tail. This one's just for tuning in the nose, things like that. So I think that's part of why.
It's where you get the similarities because it's like, okay, use
Yeah.
this one for this and this, where
I
it's
think
good on the rails.
for me, I'm always like, I want to have like, especially when I was travel shaping more, which I haven't been doing as much, but I always like, I want to have a minimal little thing. And then I'm like, I don't want to like forget one tool. So I don't want to have too many things where I'm like, oh, if I don't have that, like
Yeah, then
I'm out of luck. Or like like I've always kind of like, oh, I need these 5 tools and I'll be okay. And then I can like make do. And same thing, like I'll dig in the trash or I'm still to this day when I get a package in the mail, like something that if it has some foam thing in it, I'm like, ooh, this is kind of cool. Like
I do that all.
walk out. I think that's kind of something I could see your dad, right?
Yeah.
Like,
Totally.
oh, I could make this, and especially over here, like you guys have such easy access to like you can drive down the street to go to the hardware store that has like everything. Whereas on the North Shore, I'm like, oh, I got to drive an hour to town to try to go to find this kind of cushion or whatever,
Yeah, we got a upholstery shop right around the corner. So you're like,
exactly. I don't ever have that. So I'm like, oh, everything's kind of more precious here. It's kind of funny, but you kind of covet those weird things. But I've always kept it like super tight. And then I'll go in your dad's shaping and I'm like, holy shit, you have like 30 different hand planes that you could use for the same thing, but somehow like it's for something different, you know?
Oh yeah. I use 3 different planes. Like I use one just for the deck nose, one for the deck, like the rest of the stringer from like the bottom of the nose to the tail. A different one for the bottom, a different one for the bottom. Like just really like specific tools. I feel like get like just these really clean shapes that you don't see a lot. Like you can get 95% of the way there with just those basic 5 tools, but I think that like difference it really comes from like the specific ones that we've like tuned in and just we make like constantly.
yeah, like his fine sanding, when they're done, I mean, they're ready for tint. You can throw a resin tint on there.
I heard your EPS is
Oh yeah, I've been super stoked on my EPS ones lately. I mean,
Yeah, so he's used to seeing normal PU foam, so that's how I think they're supposed to be done.
that's how it has to be. You got to polish it.
Not like
my
a cheese
gosh,
grater.
so long, yeah.
Like you're like we're more like we got the ridges out. It's good. It's a little roughed up, but that's all gonna fill in somehow.
Yeah, I get through a normal cut maybe like 30 or so minutes, but an EPS takes me like an hour because I don't know I like I'm just like a perfectionist, I guess. Like it just has to be perfect, Like I felt so many EPS
I like that.
just feel kind of square on the rails, and I was just like, I don't ever want to make a board that feels like that. So I'm like super weird about it.
I agree. I find myself that like sometimes if I'm not shaping EPS on a regular basis and I just do a couple, I like have to make a conscious effort to like make sure my bottom of my
Yeah, the
rail is
bottom
really
is not
rounded.
stuck
You end up
all the way.
sometimes it's like a little more squared up, like a little more of a knuckle if you don't really like because it's like you don't that foam doesn't come off the way the PU does.
That
Right?
knuckle. Yeah.
Yeah, and you kind of need you need different tools for that foam too. Like you need
sure.
something that it's not going to tear it up and when you're
Mhm.
screening everything and yeah, it's interesting. I always have to be really aware like okay, this foam's so much harder. It's funny because people think like it's it's actually tough to me. EPS is actually pretty easy to shape, but it just requires a different
Finesse. It's like
you got to be conscious about it.
Pulling it apart. You got to just kind of butter it.
Well, and there's so many different qualities of EPS foam too. Like from the different blanks, you get like stuff that's just like popping bubble little, little chunks. It's popcorning little chunks off. Or the other ones are like nice and tight, and those are sick. But they're also hard.
So, yeah, that's the thing with some of the Brazilian foam. I think their Rhino has one, and or Texel. I don't know which one, but the beads they're so easy to shape too. They shape more like a normal board. It's like,
Yeah.
wow. So that's, going back to Italo's board, they're made out of a pretty, pretty, really good. To me, it's really good. I like it. I like
Yeah.
what it shapes out to be, you know. You
Yeah.
get your idea, and some of the lines you can pull with it is just pretty clean, you know. It's
Yeah,
like,
it's
wow.
crazy. Yeah, you can get everything super crisp. The what about there's your noises back again.
Oh, I
Let's
know.
just talk about it.
Not too bad.
Where'd that noise?
Oh, oh, can you tell Keith to turn off the machine for a second?
For an
It's
hour? No, I'm just kidding. Um,
it's like literally like,
super far away. Yeah, it's transmitting. The so I got a question about we were talking about Matt Archibald and that
oh yeah,
guy. Like what? So when I think of you with surfboards in particular, I think of a few different people. Now I think of Italo, I think of Al Jr. But in the past, I think of I think of a couple guys. One of them for sure. The first guy I think about with you that just connects is Archie, and that I don't know if he was riding McElroy's before you or how that worked. But
yeah.
and
He
then
was
the
riding McElroy's and this other guy, San Clemente guy, uh, Garth Day and
and,
Richardson or
oh, Richardson.
Risto. Yeah, they're insane. So
Oh,
it's
what? Oh, he was getting Terry Richardson boards on tour
what?
too, right?
Uh-oh.
Richardson.
What
There you
happened?
go. You got
You got
me.
me?
I'm here.
Oh, there you go.
The sound is way better now.
Yeah.
Um,
So
what?
Richo,
Richo.
those were
He was
insane.
gnarly, huh?
I'm like, I got to make a channel about them. I just wanted to do it, but
Yeah.
you know, first quiver I made, I think it was in '89 for Hawaii. It was pretty insane. Just all these gutter bottoms, and I remember glassing them all one night, finning them, and then the next day they got sanded and they were gone. I never really saw them again.
Was that like so? '89. Archie's like same age as me, I think. So '89. Archie was in his like he was probably 19 or
I'm not sure.
20. He was pretty young still, but he wasn't like a Grom. He was a man, a young
Yeah,
man. Um, and was that like had he already been coming to Hawaii a bunch, or was that kind of like
yeah, yeah. He was already there. He would
already?
like ride Potts's boards
Right,
and
right, right, right.
and but like I said, those guys were. It was so much different than what I was shaping at Hobie's. I was working at Hobie's and making boards out of there too, but it was just another level of performance, like where you're just weaving, just getting out of single fins and
Yeah,
20s,
that's like
then you got,
you just went like I'm going way
yeah,
over here.
I mean, but I think it's specific to like Dana Point, Capel Beach area.
Yeah.
You just like everything. We skated a lot and BMX, and it's anything was faster was better.
Yeah. Well, that's Archie,
And
right?
all the acid was better.
Yeah. What so the other guy, so what but Archie like he was he just kept going. Like he was and you're making his boards today still. Like he's
Yeah,
gone through all kinds of stuff and evolutions and whatever, but like it's so cool to see like that relationship still there so many years later. And
yeah. It's really cool. It's just, but for his age bracket too, and he rips, so you're just like, okay, what we're gonna make for this guy, you
well
know?
the other old dude, he's younger than me, but the other guy I think of with you is Pat O'Connell. And
Oh,
like I freaking
there
love
you
Pat.
go.
Yeah. And
Um,
so
he was like, I make boards for Dino. He's riding Blue Hawaiis.
right.
Brian McKellar would make him, and I'd make him quite a few. And like Matt was more like give him more and go like a rocket. Just didn't matter. But where
Right.
Pat Dino had so much board knowledge, like that
You
was
know,
sometimes he was brutal. But I was just like, okay, here's some boards, and he'd pick all the boards that were made of the 6.3H. If I made a board out of that he knew the blank. If I changed it, he would know. It was kind of gnarly.
that's
Like I'm like,
insane.
how do you know the foam density? Because remember they're super close tolerance to
Yeah. Yeah.
thick. You
Yeah.
like the ones that he can sink his feet into and
He like the
edge it.
soft ones. That's
He's like,
funny.
this
Like
thing, this
John
edge
John's the
right
same.
here.
John John's the same with like foam, like not with like the particular blank like mold, but with like foam. He's like, oh, this one feels different. Did you use a different blank from that? You know, like he's just like Arctic's always been like, or in the past, however long, Arctic's been like his go-to foam. It's been so good. And if I change stuff up at all, if I'm like, oh, I was somewhere traveling, I made you a board, or if I run out of foam, whatever, and use a different blank, it's like invariably he'll pick that one as like this one's different. It doesn't necessarily mean it's like bad, but
Yeah.
it's usually not like, oh, this is the one. It's not. It's never really. It's rarely like
Well,
that.
like
He's so
even
used to that
even with the
feel.
Arctic, I can get some of those results. Like I can cut pad a board and like, okay, I'm gonna go in the deck at 1/4 inch. I'm not
You'll
gonna.
actually you'll
I don't
purposely
like.
soften it up.
I just don't like that skim deck, rock hard deck where,
Yeah,
yeah, I don't sink my feet into it.
right.
It
Well,
just feels like I'm standing on a brick.
I shape like all of John's boards. I put a double concave into the deck in his front foot. So
Yeah,
every board I hand, and I should just design it into the files. I don't, but because I'm me, but I hand shape a little double concave right where his front foot 37 inches up. That's the spot for the shortboard. And I just do a little double concave so there it feels like it's already kind of like he stamped it in a little bit when he first steps on it. So you can ride a brand new board and be like, oh yeah, that felt good.
yeah.
It's
I mean, that's it. That's the thing is, I mean, it was so cool, especially that time with Matt and like the early '90s is being able to like if you had an idea, it's not like I'll get it cut on my machine. There was no machines.
right.
Like, okay, I'm gonna shape one in the morning and then be riding in the evening. Here, go try your board. Because it's like, is this design work? Does this kind of bottom work? Is slight double to single? Does that work? A little V, whatever it was, is like I got to make it and get it in the water immediately. Wasn't like a 4 month process, it was more like overnight process. And that's
Yeah,
kind
it's
of the advantage of being able to do everything. You kind of go,
for
okay,
sure.
I want
Uh,
it light. I don't care if there's a little air in it, but I want it light. I'm gonna sand a little, grind into a little bit. I want it light. What is the actual foam shape ride like? Not a block of resin, sanded
yeah,
close.
you're in control of the whole process rather than just like, okay, guys, do your best.
Yeah, and go, wow, that's close. I
Yeah,
want it, but the guys get used to that. You're like, oh, here's how I like it, and they're really responsive about it.
yeah, that's insane. The I used to glass. I glassed for a living, and then I shaped and glassed because I couldn't afford to just be a shaper. And then I finally kind of just shaped, but then still when John was in the like his teens and almost like probably up till he was probably 19 or something, I would laminate at the very least laminate every one of his boards just to save money because it's like I couldn't afford to
Yeah,
make all these boards. Then like I'm all if I can save $30 or whatever I can save on a board, I will. And so I did a ton of his boards and I would never sand them. That's never I mean I did. I sanded boards in emergency situations. I've just never been like a fast sander. Like I can sand a board, but it takes me so long that I'd rather have somebody that's better and faster do it. But
yeah,
but I'd fin and hot, plug and hot coat and everything. And then finally, finally like don't really do that because I've just got my setup where it works. But now it's really cool is that I have such consistent glassing. Like we have that smaller factory over here,
yeah.
and
What's your Sanders name?
Dan Ernest.
That's
Yeah,
all guy.
yeah, he's gnarly. Like that guy's been sanding for 30 years or, and
Yeah,
it's,
when I was over there, I was checking out his sand. I'm like, wow, those are good. They're like
he's really good.
just under polish almost. I was like, they're so
I know they're
tight.
almost too nice. But
Yeah,
having so I have one guy that lambs always. I have one guy that's spinning boards and hot coating and one guy that's lambing and the same sander. So the consistency I can get there, which is so nice where I'm like, hey, it's not like I'm taking like a team rider's boards and just sending them to like a random glass shop or some guy that's gonna fin them this one time or whatever. It's like the same guys are doing the same thing every time, board after board after board, and it's so nice because you have at least it's not the same as one person doing the whole thing every time, but at least you got like the same guy doing the same process each
Yeah,
time, and you
that's what
get to a good
we're at
result.
right now. We got pretty solid consistency with our glass work, you know.
Well, you
Our
don't,
oxys, we don't do them here.
right?
Actually, my laminator just brought his back because he gets allergic to it. The
You're
pop,
telling me that.
oh my God. So
Such a nightmare.
it's so hard.
The that whole process is, and like you don't want to be like teaching a new sander like, okay, this is where like Italo wants his edges, like here's board, you want the guy that's like, if it's you're like, I know what I want, like I'm doing this way. And even like one thing we found with John's boards over the years, he's gotten more and more like particular, but not more and more particular, more and more knowledgeable. So
Yeah.
then he starts questioning smaller and smaller parts of the board, right? When he didn't know anything about surfboard, he would just be like, I don't know, I just don't really like this one, or I like this one a lot, or whatever. And then now it's more of like, hey, this one's pretty good, but like it has this weird thing, or he has these little details, and then he gets fixated on certain little aspects of it. Like he's been lately, his biggest thing is like measuring the fin angles to make sure that both fins, side front fins, are the same angle. And if they're not, why did this board's magic? And then you're like, well, one fin's slightly cocked
Yeah.
in or whatever. And I'm like, so do you want me to start putting your fins always wrong now? And he's like, I don't know. Like,
Yeah,
it's
like,
almost like,
but that's like going back to knowledge of the surfer himself. It's like
yeah,
your best feedback's going to be from those guys. And like I said, Pat O'Connell was good. He's like, he just come in and go, did this one? And the way he said, he goes, this one's kind of dog balls. I'm like,
yeah, yeah.
what?
That sounds like Pat.
And because he goes, well, right here, it kind of wants to start to slide. And I'm like, okay. And I just take the edge and roll it under a little more and soften it up. And he'd go surfing and go, magic. And I'm like,
Yeah,
really?
that's insane. But
But it was constant because he'd bring boards in and we didn't change anything on the boards. We just changed the edge
you're
on
fine tuning
from
the glass
about
bevel.
16 inches to 13, just a little more and a little square right back here. And he's like, that's magic.
Yeah, that's insane.
Really?
And well, and I always try to like when I'm working with this surfer and trying to get feedback, and some guys just give you no feedback. Like they're just like, I don't like this board, or I really like this board. The I don't like this board, and then you're all, why not? And they're like, I don't know. And you're just like, well, I don't know if we're gonna get anywhere. But when you get like, hey, I always tell John, I'm like, just if you can just tell me like what you don't like, what it's doing, I'll try to figure out how to fix it. He doesn't have to come to me and go like, I think it needs more concave, or I think the rocker should be flatter, or I da da da. Just tell me like what's the issue you want solved, or how do you want me to improve it, and then I'll try to brainstorm like in my what I think will do to change that. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
That's
yeah. We get that here because, we'll make the same board. Some guys like that one specifically, and this one doesn't work for that guy.
yeah,
But a lot of it seems like just a little bit of like for lowers, like you're like, okay, we'll put a little bend off the tail, add a little V, and it like what totally different board. It goes, yeah, it has more speed, feels more connected to the wave. That's
right.
kind of what you want.
That's always like for me living in Hawaii, the boards I always am working the hardest on are boards for waves like that, like weaker waves, a little bit like and slower. And then so traveling, that's always been a good advantage, and I'm sure you've felt the same way traveling when you travel in shape. Don't you think that gives you like you get this experience and you get to look at like you go somewhere and see like other boards, or you start thinking about other waves. You're like, oh, I'm looking at like great waves or this kind of wave, whatever, and it makes you. For me, it's always made me like, oh, I need to remember to that like not everyone's surfing really good waves, or not everyone's surfing trestles, like
Yeah.
you
So
know.
that's the thing is having a good board. Like I can make a board for here and it'll transfer like, yeah, it worked really good at Rockies and backdoor. You're like, really? But you were
Pretty
just
sick.
riding at lowers. I go, I don't know. It just works. You're like,
Yeah,
wow.
that's insane.
So it's kind of like if I can make a board here, we got freaky weight, a little power, pretty flat, but you still got to ride the bump, you know? So it's like, how do I make a board that rides a good bump? It's just, I mean, you got to look at this area. It's such a fun little zone.
It's
You know,
insane.
it's like, shit, I'm out of here. I'm going to go down to Lowers or you go in Creek, you know, or some of the beaches right around here, you know? I'm
Yeah,
going to make a weird board for the day. Just, I want to ride something different, completely off the map where you're just like, whoa, that's pretty fun.
yeah, you get to surf. You're like, and
Yeah.
you get a lot of chances to surf. Maybe not, it's not always pumping, but like you get an opportunity to jump in the water and develop stuff that way too. And like you surf a lot compared to a lot of shapers I'm calling.
Yeah.
And like over the years, I know you've surfed a ton, and like there's a lot of guys I think that don't surf that much. And then all of the guys that I know that are the best guys that I know all surf pretty regularly.
Yeah,
And
I mean, I
it,
haven't been in the water as much as I like. I had some freaking gnarly shoulder stuff going on last. I got a shot here and a here, and it was just like, whoa! It's called like frozen shoulder. It was like
yeah, that's brutal.
super painful.
Yeah, nightmare. But I'm just saying, like over your years, throughout your like career shaping, you've always been a surfer, and like
Yeah,
when you
and that's
travel,
the
you go
thing, you know.
surf. You're
Well,
not like
you meet the guys. I met a guy with a plane, and we used to go to Mexico all the time, and you're just like, wow. Come back, and you're just like, I just surfed perfect offshore 4 to 6 foot barrels all day long for 3 days. And
and
then it dropped and we're back at home chasing the swell up here. You're like, man, it's just insane, you
yeah,
know?
it's cool to be connected to that like that. I trip out on the guys that don't really surf and shape. And then there's like the really rare shaper that just doesn't surf at all. Like those guys are insane. I remember there was a guy over here years ago that made insane boards and made boards for a lot of Brazilian pros over here, and he didn't surf. Like it was wild. Never. Like that was trippy. I was always a little suspicious of him. But most of the
Yeah,
like you
I know what you mean. That always trips me out. Or, you just get that vibe of like, I don't know, is he into it or is he not into it? Or
yeah,
other,
like all the like if you look at like Biolos or like DHT, those guys are like frothing surfers still, you know. Matt love he'll go surf in a pool somewhere or he'll go on a trip with his kid. I think his kid really his son really gets him like surfing even more. Probably he's like re
yeah,
stoked on that, you know. I mean he's such a snowboarder, but in the winter, but then he's a surf rat, you know, with his Grom. And then DHD, like Darren's a full surf, like that guy surfs all the time and gets good. I mean, he lives with where there's great surf, but it just feels like it's so important to be like Bushman over here. Bushy always surf. I used to surf. Bushy's not so much in the recent past, but like always a surfer. We surfed together a ton when I was working for him and throughout that whole time. And
yeah.
it's just like
Like I like that, like that's kind of next phase of what I'm doing is get my son a little more involved in business side, but getting to surf with him and my daughters, and
so
it's
sick.
just it's rad, you
That's the
know.
best. Yeah, both my girls surf. My younger daughter is not really, I wouldn't call her a surfer, but she surfs. Like when she's here, she doesn't live here, but when she's here, she surfs with us. She'll go longboard and stuff. And then my older daughter, Indy's like full on surfer, like all the time.
Yeah,
Now that we have a granddaughter, her kid, and like,
that's you're
we're
right.
like,
You're a grandpa.
yeah, I'm a grandpa. We got little baby Rocky. She's turning 8 months tomorrow. And
Wow.
but like me and Dally babysit her so Indy and her husband can go surf out in front of our house. You know, it's sick. They come over like, can you watch the baby for a little while? The waves look fun. And we're just like, yeah, sick.
Yeah. Well, how cool is that to be a grandfather now?
Yeah, it's insane. It's
It
like,
just kind of puts your business aside, makes you clear headed. You're like, dude, I got it made.
yeah, it's insane. And like for my wife, for Dally, she's like, that's if she just had to like take care of that baby the rest of her life, she would just be totally happy. Like she could be having the shittiest day and Indy brings the baby over and like everything's good. the world's just
They
like
get it.
everything's right. It's pretty crazy, but it's super fun. But it's rad to have for you. Like I can just it's pretty. I'm a little jealous with Keone and helping you out like that. It's pretty insane. I feel like it's kind of sad. Like our business is like there's no there's not really like a lot of young crew coming up that can that want to really be involved in this business. I got a kid working for me, this kid Pierce, who's about 23 to 24, that uh, we trained him to hot coat. Ernie really trained him,
Yeah.
and he's an insane hot coater, and he shapes himself a little bit, and he can land. He can do a complete board, and he's one of the best hot coaters I've ever seen. Like they're the easiest sand jobs ever,
Yeah.
and I have a little hope for him as far as like just in the industry and the business, and but like I don't have anybody that like I'm training to take over anything or anything like that. And I feel like it's funny with surfboards these days too, is like when I was learning how to shape, Bushman was like, here's what you do with the planer, you know? And like you actually learn something. You had to like watch somebody build a surfboard. Whereas now I'm like, okay, you sand like what people are like, can I come watch you shape? And I'm like, I guess, but like it's not really that interesting. I mean it is, I guess, if you're already like good enough to know like little details, but if you kind of want to like learn how to shape, watching us scrub a board isn't really like
Yeah. No, I know
that's
what you mean.
it's kind of sad. Like I feel like I can't pass that on to somebody really, not
Well,
just my
yeah, that's
family,
a
but
thing. Like he always got to see every step of it.
yeah,
So, um, but to be able to go somewhere and do a stack of boards, I don't want to go fly somewhere and do 200 boards in a week. I'm like, I mean, I would do it, but I'm over
yeah,
that. I'd rather
yeah,
go, hey, I'm going to go over there for like a week and you stay another week if you want. If the way they're pumping, stay and just finish the board. You got it.
yeah, yeah,
You know, it's kind of like the next step, like me freeing up my time. Like, hey, I'd like to spend a little more time in Hawaii just to work on stuff there and just like chill, hang out with
yeah,
you. And
yeah. You should be chilling over here.
so and it's like Keely's just I don't know, it's really cool. I'm looking at a picture right here. He's with brother Ford, myself, uh, this other kid, and Andrew Doheny. It's pretty funny, man. I'm like, oh my God, they're such groms. Like,
Let me see. Yeah, I
okay,
remember
I'll grab it. But
those.
it's pretty cool because so this is what dads used to do. Like, I don't know, you just hang out with the crew.
Yeah, that's so sick. Yeah, hold that up a little closer. Let me see. That's so rad. The that's epic. How's Ford? I
Andrew
remember.
Doheny.
Yeah,
Florida's pretty tall.
yeah. I
Look at
remember
brother on the end. He's just like this. Yay!
little white kids.
Oh
They
my God, those guys are just the
yeah,
funniest. It's so fun to surf with them at that age too. Then even when John would come over and the boys, they'd stay in the back house at our house, and I would
yeah.
see Keone for like a week because they're just on the road skating or
Driven.
in
Yeah.
lowers.
I remember those days of like the NSSA, the nationals, right?
Yeah,
And like coming over there and hanging out with you down at the beach, and it would be like it was like John, Nathan, and Ivan and Alex, and then
yeah,
Simone would be there, Ford, all those Groms in that picture. And I remember even like I remember teaching who was it? It must have been Ford. I remember teaching Ford. They're like they're making burgers down there, and I'm all, dude, you ever put barbecue sauce on a burger? And he's like, no. And I'm like, check this out. And I put it on there, and he's like, that's insane. Like he was so psyched. I'm all, that's how I always eat a burger. It's so much better. He's all, that's killer. But like those kids were epic, you know, and that was just like such fun times. They're young Groms. They're all ripping, and like they didn't give a shit. They were just having so much fun.
yeah. There. I mean, that was a special time. We kind of nailed that. You
It's
know.
pretty sick.
I mean, it's similar today, but you're pretty much ready to go. You can.
Now,
It
now those
wasn't
kids,
sure. It wasn't an adventure to go to lowers. You can moto down there. You're there. You leave the
that,
beach, get something to eat, come back.
yeah,
And there, I just remember dropping off the boys. You're like, okay, call me when you're ready. And you're like,
yeah,
oh,
you
are guys?
pack all your shit. You're down there for the day. We would hang with we would hang at like uppers, like a little bit up sometimes,
Yeah,
Alex and the kids. But the funny thing now, those kids, it's like you get a bunch of 12-year-olds now and they're hanging with their coach and their freaking trainer and they're, you know what I mean? Like, and their filmer and they got this whole different vibe going. It's like changed so much. It's like I mean, I
yeah.
might be exaggerating, but not quite, you know? Um,
No, I don't think you're
the,
exaggerating at all. I
the
mean, it,
dads aren't surfing with them. The dads are filming them and, uh, and then reviewing that shit later at home and coaching them. It's like it's such a
I
different
think
vibe.
that I enjoy that so much surfing with my kids, you know, especially Keone, because I'm taking him out here. You know, I didn't know he was like I look at pictures of some of the days that I took at a 10-year-old. I'm like, oh shit, he was pretty small. And I'm like, I remember taking him out there and we're sitting out in the back and it'd be a crowded day, but fuck. He's like, it was Mike Cruikshank. He would like push him into bombs or
Oh, that's sick.
myself, and like no one's sitting where we're sitting, and I'm like, yeah, come out here, Gary.
Yeah, it's
Come
easier
here,
out here.
come here,
There's no
no
other
matter
groms.
what.
Yeah, there's
And,
no other
and
groms around us. I wonder why. It's pumping. Yeah, it's so fun surfing with your kids. Like I just always have loved that, and I still do now. You know, it's like it's still fun. I'm stoked to go surf with my kid and like see her get a good wave or surf a new wave with her somewhere or whatever. And I
well, you
can't
guys
imagine.
travel to Bali quite a bit, right? With
Yeah,
your
we're going to Bali next week actually, and that's where like Indy really clicked into she was a surfer already when she was younger. She surfed a lot when she was young, but she surfed. She wasn't a surfer. She
yeah,
surfed, and then when she was 12, we were in Indo and we were at Bali. We were at Uluwatu, and I remember I wouldn't even like she surfed so little. I wouldn't even make her own new board. Like she was riding a board that like some kid gave me back that the nose had broken off, and I fixed it and like spray painted it. But it was perfect for her.
yeah.
But I'm like, I'm not gonna make you a new board if you're not like really surfing. You don't just get boards. I'm not gonna try to spoil you. And and we were down there with one of her friends was with us too, and then Mikey Wright was there. We met the Wrights. They hung out at Ulu's down the Warongs and we were hanging out with them. And Mikey was like a year older. He was 13, and Indy and her friend Kylie were both 12. And I think the girls both had a little crush. Mikey was the cutest little girl ever. And I kept telling Indy, I'm like, hey, Uluwatu is like you live at Rocky Point. Like Ulu's is more mellow. Like it's actually softer. And she's like, it looks scary, Dad. And da da da. And finally, I'm like, you're trust me, like you're gonna love this wave. And finally, like Mikey's like, let's go surf, right? You know, whatever. And like the girls are like, okay. And they
Okay.
went and surfed, and they just had like it was like head high racetrack, like high tide, so it was real safe and fun
Oh yeah,
feeling.
yeah.
And like she was just like, this place is she came back up like that was it. She was a surfer. It was like this is insane. Like I just got 100-yard long wave. There's only like 20 guys out. Like people are super like it was amazing. And that was when she kind of clicked and she started to get new boards after that. But like that was the trip. And it was like a little I think it was a little crush on Mikey Wright that got her in the water. But and now we've gone back to Bali like almost every year since then, and she gets barreled at Ulus now. You know, like it's pretty sick.
Yeah. Are you working at Bosty's there?
Yeah, I work up his factory burned down, as you know, but
It's up and running now.
it's up and running and still being rebuilt, like partially done and partially getting rebuilt. And so yeah, I've been working with him for like 15 years there. And it's interesting because he was like for a non-Indonesian, he was like one of the first guys to have like a real factory. His factory. Did you shape there when he had this factory up the like in that there was like a tiny little shaping room? There was like it was like a roll-up door in a garage
Yeah.
kind of. Like you had to squeeze. It was terrible. Like the worst case scenario
I
situation.
was here with Pete. I went over with Pete
Yeah,
Matthews. Got me
yeah,
over there.
yeah,
It was. I had a blast. You know.
yeah. No, it's epic. And that's who Pete's the one that connected me with Basti as well. And
Yeah, it was incredible. So
yeah,
he wants me
it's
to. I
magical.
hope I can get over there this summer sometime.
You should come over. We're gonna be there for all of June, and then I'm gonna probably come home for July, and then try to go back in in August or something. If you ever want to come over
August.
there when I'm there, just let me know. August and maybe September. But yeah, I love Indo. That's like the summer getaway from here. We know there's not going to be waves here, so we try to go there as much as we can.
And you're
And
still riding around on motorbikes, right?
oh yeah, we get a car. We rent a car and we get motorbikes too. So if you got to go somewhere far away, we just drive. Like we drive my wife drives over there all the time. Like if you're gonna go like anywhere that's like kind of into town a little bit, you drive a car just for the safety of it.
Yeah.
But zipping around out of Ulus, we just have motorbikes. Like going out to dinner, we just take our motorbike down there, or whatever.
Yeah.
It's super fun. And
Like I stay in pretty close shop, but I'm like I had some like issues just with balance. Like my ears are so screwed up that like full like equilibrium's off. Like
so gnarly,
it's so weird. Like I'll duck dive sometimes and I come up, I'm like,
dizzy.
whoa, yeah, it's pretty gnarly.
Yeah, that stuff sucks. It's hard.
That's kept me out of the water quite a bit where I'm like, whoa, that wasn't that fun.
I talked to it's gnarly. Do you know Chris Borst?
Yeah.
Yeah, so
He's got it really bad.
yeah, I met him last September at the contest at Trestles. I'd never met him before, and he's like, "Oh, sorry." He had like some toilet paper in his ears. He's like, "I have the worst vertigo." He was just like sitting there, like he was tripping. And then I saw him. He came over to the Gold Coast on this last for the snapper comp, and or the Burley, and he was doing way better, but he still said he had like some of
Yeah,
that.
he's had it for like a couple years, he
And
said. I'm like,
he was saying like there's times when he couldn't even like get up and walk. Basically, he was just like laying there, just like fuck.
yeah, I
Pretty gnarly.
broke this eardrum surfing, got my board in this ear, had a
Yeah,
hunk of my nose stuck in my ear canal for like a couple of years. It was
that's brutal.
crazy. I got
That's
it actually taken out. I was like, hey, I was in Portugal in Alvaro. I'm like, hey,
Did
I got
Alvaro take you to the doctor?
yeah, he took me to a doctor, had to get antibiotics. It was so infected, my face popped up. Then I'm like, oh, he goes, oh, you got a doctor's appointment today. And the guy cuts my ear from the inside, opens it up, pulls out the piece of my board that's been there for a couple of years. It was
That's
so
crazy.
gnarly.
That's crazy.
And I was
Alvaro,
instantly felt almost normal. I was like, whoa,
dude,
that's weird.
I love that. Like Alvaro is like he's like our dad. He does the same stuff for me. Like
Yeah.
he's like, I'll take care of you. Like if you're in Portugal, Alvaro's taking care of you. Like he's taken me to multiple doctor visits there. Like I had different shit going on, and like he's taking me to play. He's like, oh no, I have a friend. I got hurt one time. Blew out my knee and my hamstring, and like, oh here I'm taking this PT guy. He's taken me to the hospital for something there. I can't even remember. And then like John hurt his back surfing Cave, that crazy wave.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
Like he broke his back surfing that wave, and like it was like in the afternoon and on a weekend, and nowhere was open. Alvaro got like his friend that's a surgeon to like open the hospital to take him in there, some crazy shit, like just like VIP service. Like that guy's amazing. Alvaro's been such a great guy for me. Like he's a
Yeah. I
legend.
mean, it's like, even to go somewhere and just be that welcome, he's like, okay, I'm in the
He's
right.
like family. He's like
Yeah.
having family somewhere, and he is just. I always loved when like when I first went to Portugal, and he would just like go out of his way to take me to things that he knew. Like I wasn't going like show me the historical landmarks or any. I was just like I'm not really that guy. And then he'd
Yeah.
take me somewhere, and I just like my mind would be blown. I'm like, wow, we're in a 1,000-year old palace or whatever it is, and
Yeah,
like
he did that with me too. And then I got to bring my girls there, and we cruised all around. It was pretty rad. They were stoked. They're pretty young at the time. Like now, they just like go, "Oh my God, this is the best place in the world."
right. Yeah, it's pretty magical. I know. I haven't been back there for so long, like since COVID, I think, and I got to go every year. I'm like, okay, I'm coming, and then I'm like, it's so far to fly. It's so this, and I haven't been going, but I definitely got to get back there. I went every year. You did the same thing. I went every year, 2 times a year
Yeah,
for 2 weeks at a time. So I spent a month every year there for like at least 10 years, maybe longer.
yeah,
It
I
was
did
pretty
that. And
gnarly.
that thing is, I don't mind that so much, but like when I go to the Canaries, it's like just tack on another 12 hours. You like sit in this airport, go to this airport, get a bus here, go to that airport, fly down there. It's so
Yeah.
nerve-wracking.
It's
It's
and
driving
and
me. It's like
and
crazy.
you're going to work. You're not going to vacation. You're like those trips. I would always get like when you're getting on that first flight to leave to go on that trip. You're just like, okay, like this is gonna be a long 2 weeks. Like I'm flying here, then I'm gonna work my ass off for as long, and then I'm gonna fly home. It's like it's pretty radical.
Well, it's a whole month process
Yeah, that's
because you're
not
like, okay, I got to power 2 weeks before I leave. I
ahead
got
of time.
200 boards to do in 2 weeks, and I got to do a new 200 here, then come back to the same thing.
Yeah, and
So
you're
you're like
backed up. You're
6 weeks
backed up when
out
you get
going,
back.
it's a
Yeah,
stretch.
yeah. It's
You know,
awesome
it
though. Like
looks good on paper. You're like, yeah, I'll go fly and do a couple boards. They don't know. You gotta actually power your ass up, keep the shop busy.
yeah. Well,
Like, so
it's
that's when me and Keely went. We did everything we possibly could that was on the book, stock,
yeah,
ever.
yeah.
Got
That's
everything
insane.
done. The shop stays busy, the glass shop. Go for a week and a half, fly back and power out. Right when you get home, you're like instantly like, I'm like, I know it's midnight, but I'm gonna drive down to my shop right now. Just make sure
Yeah,
it
just
looks
check it, make
the
sure
same as
everything's
I
okay.
did.
Everybody's been all right while I'm gone. Yeah, that's great. I took Matt Yerxa, who works for me here, shaping. I took him to Japan one time. That was the only time I've ever gone like and done one of those trips without just not just on my own. And it
Yeah,
was so nice. Like it was cool because I get along with Matt really well. He's super cool. And then he had never been to this part of Japan or maybe even Japan at all. And we went down to Shikoku, which was really killer. And
yeah,
like he had a great time and he helped me out so much. We got a lot of work done and it was just killer. And it's cool. He actually formed a relationship with the guys that we were working with there, and he still goes back there and does his own boards now, which is really cool. So in the summertime, he'll go back there for like a week and do boards. So he got like this something out of that in a different way, which is nice. And it's pretty. Anyways, that was a great trip. I was like stoked to have help.
I used to do a lot of that early '90s, and it was a stayed up for like a month, like crazy.
Gnarly, huh?
Shape a couple hundred boards, hand shape. You're like, fuck, where am I? I don't even know. I'm like, what do you do here?
The only trip I really hand shaped boards, like production at all. I did some stuff in Japan that was like EPS, and it was like
Yeah.
skin, but they were like EPS, and then they're getting wrapped with like a skin, like a hard, Divinisil. Maybe it's time to wrap it up. Should we give it a wrap?
Yeah, we could do more later, this will be our first episode, do some funny shit.
I like that. I
There's a
like
lot to
it.
talk about. I mean,
Dude,
the
you have
the
you have you have so many good stories. Like you have, I love it. Like I like picking your brain. We didn't even get like halfway into what I was wanting to talk to you about. We could do we
I
could do
there
Tim
there's
Patterson
so much
episode
good
2.
stuff that happens around the surf industry and what we get to do all the time.
Well, I also want to talk to you more about like fins and all these things that you've done because it's pretty interesting stuff. But yeah, maybe for right now I gotta go have some breakfast. You probably
Yes.
gotta go make sure everybody's doing their job right now and
Yeah, I'm
maybe
gonna ditch work and do something else.
nice. All right, guys, that was my conversation with Timmy Patterson from his factory in San Clemente. And I'm very grateful for Timmy to sitting down and taking his time. And I'm stoked that you guys were here to listen to that too. And I have more of that coming. I think my next guest is going to be Vince Longo, who's the owner, founder, and general fin nerd from Future Fins. Really interesting guy with a great story about stuff that he's done. So tune in for the next episode. And thanks for listening to this. And I hope you guys have a great day. And I'll see you next time. All right. Bye bye.